So you started your business to solve a problem and create lasting change in your community, but now you find yourself stuck in the day-to-day operations of your business. How did that happen?
It's so easy to get busy and burned out working in your business that you don't have time and energy to work on your business. That's where we come in.
I'm Scott Woods, and with over 30 years experience in C-suite and accounting, I'm here to help you get your numbers in order so you can scale your business and your mission effectively.
And I'm Steff Thomas. With my 20 years of experience in human resources at all levels, I'm excited to help you grow as a leader of your business and surround yourself with members that understand your vision.
You're listening to the Changemakers Collective podcast, where impact-driven businesses come to accelerate their growth through servant leadership. Well, welcome to the Changemakers Collective. I'm Scott, this is Steff, and we really wanted to put together a forum in which we could talk about what it means to have a lasting impact in the community. We're with Silverback Ventures, an organization that is dedicated to amplifying the voice and multiplying the impact of purpose-driven businesses. And while that absolutely sounds and is a tagline, that's truly how we go about our business. We believe strongly that there are amazing people doing amazing things that just need a little help. So that's why we kind of started this podcast. Steff and I talked about it. We were both a little reluctant to share some of these things in this forum. We're both very used to presenting in a group atmosphere. And here we are sharing our knowledge and sharing some insights about impact.
You know, when you and I first started talking about how could we impact our own personal community, we talked about just through my HR expertise and your good financial understanding of how to run a business, how to scale a business, we made a conscious decision to talk about when someone has a good idea or if someone has a product that could strengthen their community, that we could come alongside of them and help them build good foundations so that their business becomes a topic of who they are, not just a means to an end.
What they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've all run into businesses. Everybody listening or watching has run into organizations that are focused on making a buck. And typically what will happen is you'll miss out on having a impact in the community. And impact in the community is not giving an annual donation to a fundraiser. There's a huge difference between a charitable gift and having a lasting impact. Businesses are started because they want to solve a problem. Nobody sets out and says, I'm just going to go out and sell hot dogs to make money. They're going out to the corner and saying, nobody is selling hot dogs here. Let's sell hot dogs because our community needs hot dogs.
Scott, that was a good thing that you brought up about the community going out and selling hot dogs. So, you know, when you impact your community, you become a part of the community.
Yes.
And you have to know your community. So you can't just live in one area, decide to make a difference in another area, and only show up when you're doing whatever it is you do in that area.
You can't serve those you don't know. We've run into numerous opportunities and numerous clients that are saying they're having an impact in the community, but actually don't know who the community is. And one of the things that is absolutely imperative is that you get to know the people you're trying to serve. It sounds cliche to some degree, but if you don't know who you're trying to serve, you can't serve them in a meaningful way. And I think that's the difference between writing a check and actually being a part of the change. We were in a group meeting a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, I guess it was, where we sat around a table with organizations that didn't know each other that were trying to solve the same problem. Social justice in the market, and there was 5 out of the 12 organizations were there about social justice, and none of them actually communicated with each other. There's opportunity for impact, but in a smaller scale. If we can talk about it and think about it and plan for it, as we'll talk about in future episodes, how to collaborate so you can create a multiplication of impact and an amplification of the message you're trying to get out there, it's a game changer. And few companies do it well. And that's what we're doing here.
You've used the words impact a lot. You've used the words charity a lot. I think identifying what impact is important, and then clearly understanding what the difference between impact and charity looks like. So for me, companies that make impact really focus on a pain point in their personal community, and personal community could not be a geographical location. It could be a health problem. It could be a pollution problem. It could be where can we help the underserved community?
Sure.
And while we're doing that, how do we structure a business around it where other people can come alongside of us?
Yes.
Anybody can cut a check to a charity.
Yes.
But what are we doing?
Well, and is the result of your business activities changing the community? There's so many organizations out there, especially in the nonprofit world, that are solely focused on raising money because they don't have enough of it. So they're raising money. And then by the time they pay all their people and pay all the marketing and pay for all the events, they're actually not changing the community and that they're trying to serve.
Scott, a good question to ask yourself is, if you were to take your service away,
yes,
does it matter?
Yes. If you're not making a difference in the community, you're not an impact business. And you should not be collecting people's money if you're not changing the world around you. So we're going to spend a ton of time talking about what that actually looks like, how to implement that as part of your daily business plan and daily operational plan. And we need to be able to understand and put equal focus on making money and being a change maker. That's the whole reason we came up with the idea.
Scott, when you said making money, do you mean making money to pay your employees?
I mean making money to pay for both operations and for impact. Because if, again, going back to the conversation around writing a check, everybody gets to the end of the year, looks at their tax planning and says, oh, I've got to have a charitable contribution to offset my taxes. While that's good and necessary and helps the vast majority of charities in the world, that is not a mindset of impact. That's a mindset of, let me write a check and stay away from the actual work to be done. If you're truly an impact-focused business, you are in the dirt, so to speak, with those people you're trying to serve and getting to know them and really understanding their pain points and really focusing your business and your activity and your outreach on the people that you're trying to serve. So do you have to be a nonprofit or have started as a community-based organization in order to have an impact?
Well, Scott, I mean, we are not a nonprofit and we impact the community all the time.
It is really about a focus, a clarified focus on what we're doing, a clarified focus on solving a problem and recognizing that our involvement in the community, whether it is through our business or as a byproduct of our business, has to change the community for the better.
You know what, Scott, that's pretty cool that you're wording it that way, because my thought immediately was, as you're getting to know the community and you're volunteering your time or whatever in the community, much like what you say with Clemson, I mean, you get a bird's eye view on what the youth is even thinking
true.
as
That's
an
absolutely
innovative
true.
thing.
And that's where we have to be. If we're going to have and be a change maker, we have to know what we're trying to change, and we have to have a collective understanding of what the community around us needs. And every person, if they're going to live a life of purpose, on purpose, needs to know what that purpose is. And we can spend hours and hours and hours talking about how to define and how to discover, is probably a better word, that purpose. But at the end of the day, if we are not leaving a legacy of positive change in the community, what are we doing? What is the purpose of being on this earth, going through the process of working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, if we're not not only providing for our family, but actually being a positive influence, a positive change maker in the community, then we're missing out on an opportunity not only for the community to get better, but for us to have our lives changed. How many times do you talk to somebody who's been on a service trip or a mission trip around the world, and when you ask them about it, their first response is, "It changed me." Interesting that they say, "It didn't change the people that I served, it changed me." Why would we not want to multiply that every day, all day long?
So, on that note, do you have to be a for-profit or a nonprofit to make an impact in the community?
Of course not. You have to be a human being that is in desire to be a change maker. And that's why we're having this conversation. That's why we're doing what we're doing. We have seen so many people that have amazing ideas and want to have an impact in the world. I meet with students, all the time. My conversation always ends up with, if I gave you $1 billion and you didn't have to work, what would you do with your time? And inevitably, they come back to some cause or some social ill that they feel strongly about. Well, do that. Life is short. Let's have an impact today. Let's figure out how to tailor our businesses, tailor our lifestyle, tailor our personal and professional finances so that we can have an impact in the community every moment of every day.
So with Silverback Ventures, living a life of purpose on purpose, we can come alongside of anyone of those people that are doing good in their community and help strengthen what they're doing.
And amplify and multiply. Amplify and multiply. Amplify and multiply. We are a purpose-driven business, and we want to support people that are purpose-driven as well.
This is something that's really heavy on my heart as we talk about impact businesses. You were talking about when we were sitting around the table and there were people doing social justice, but they weren't helping each other. It's my experience that a lot of times people are doing the exact same thing, but they hold on to their portion and don't co-collaborate with their community. Let's talk a little bit around how that negatively impacts the community.
Yeah, and it's far more, which is interesting. In our conversations, we've found that to be more prevalent in the nonprofit world who claim to be impact focused than in the for-profit world. In the for-profit world, you're talking about joint ventures and collaborative efforts all the time. And you're not talking about your competition as every tiny little organization that happens to be doing or selling the same thing. In the nonprofit world, the minute you say, in this instance, social justice, everybody's trying to protect their donor base. And all of those folks are asking the same people for the same dollars. But when you have an opportunity for collaboration, starting with a unification around what problem you're trying to solve, and this is going to be an alliteration that you'll hear all the time on this podcast, if you can create unification, it leads to collaboration, which leads to innovation, which leads to transformation. Innovation, collaboration, innovation, transformation. But if you interrupt that process by not unifying your organization and finding channel partners to boost or multiply or amplify, you're missing out on an opportunity to actually have the impact you want to have.
Scott, a lot of times people talk about just being afraid that someone will take their product from them. I don't find that to be the case in most situations. I find that most people struggle in one area while the other person is knocking it out of the park. True. They just have a simple conversation. Then through collaboration, great things can happen. What is your saying? 1 + 1?
1 + 1 has to be greater than 2. And if you do it right, it will be. We've had a client that was the actual conversation was, I don't want to collaborate because I don't want somebody to steal my idea.
If someone steals your idea, so what? What does that mean?
Well, it's different when you actually want to have an impact.
Oh, that's good.
If you're truly trying to have an impact, you don't necessarily care who gets the credit. You want to solve a problem. We have a client right now that is solving a worldwide epidemic that if we do our jobs well, we will eradicate an epidemic that affects almost 1 billion people. Now, we all want to make money. We all want to raise money. We have the need for money to do that. But we're looking for partners that can come alongside and amplify the message so that we can solve the problem faster. If we did not do that, we would be back where we started from. We went from an idea to a facility that is manufacturing units to the tune of 600,000-700,000 units in less than a year. That doesn't happen unless you have a focus not on the money, but on the impact.
You know, the cool part about that is with this client, they have subject matter experts really voicing how to help.
Yes.
And they collaborate all over the world.
Yes.
So it's not just their community per se geographically again, but this is a worldwide issue, and they are taking a worldwide approach and asking people outside of just their lane for help.
Yeah, and I think if you can share the message of what your impact desire is, and we'll spend a ton of time talking about vision and mission and values. If you share your vision in a succinct way that gets people to rally behind it, those kinds of conversations about opportunities for collaboration will get away from, hey, you're stealing my cheese, and become more about how do we do this together and both make money so we can do it faster and better and more efficiently.
You know, Scott, as we continue to just plug in where our expertise are, it's important that we remember that as we're making an impact, we're doing strategic processes, strategic planning. We have the right people on our boards. We have the right people giving us advice. We understand the difference between an advisory board versus a governance board. Just super excited to be able to share our expertise in that area because as we impact our community, sometimes you got to give stuff away so that people understand what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, if you are primarily focused on the impact, the money will find its way to you. But if you're primarily focused on the money, there's a good chance you're going to miss out on having the impact you want to have for the people you want to serve. And we see it all the time. And I think what's interesting is when you focus on the impact, your scope of people you can partner with gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's really cool that you said that. So when you are talking about who do you partner with, right? Sometimes we're so focused on the startup of our business, right? Do we have the right people on our board? Do we have the right CPA? That we forget about there's a marketing aspect.
True.
There is a legal aspect.
You still have to run a business.
Still have to run a business.
Yes.
Also, you still have to make time to socialize in the community.
Yes.
So that looks like the coffee or the lunch appointment after you've had 4 other coffee and lunch appointments.
Yes.
Impact's important. You never know where it could show up.
That's true. After 17 coffees in a day, you start to wonder, okay, how do we take this coffee meeting and turn it into something? And we've all been in those moments, especially when you're starting your business and starting to figure out how to interweave impact into your existing business, where you have meetings and you say to yourself, I don't know where this is going to go, but I want to be involved with this person somehow, some way. That brings it back to how does that alignment help you to amplify the voice and multiply your impact? And that's kind of where we're going to go with this podcast. We're going to have tons of topics to talk about to help you grow and help you maximize efficiency and effectiveness. So I'm super pumped to be able to kind of share our expertise and the expertise of our future guests on how to make this happen.
Scott, I can't wait to talk about, just as we are planning for the upcoming future.
Yes.
How do we strategically plan? How do we find and foster our community? How do we find the extra money at the end of the year? And then what do we do with it?
Yes. We're super excited for what the future will look like and the upcoming episodes will look like for the Changemakers Collective. But as we leave, hold on to this nugget that we are encouraging everybody and every business to live a life of purpose on purpose. So thank you very much for your time. We look forward to our next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Changemakers Collective. If you've enjoyed this episode, please help us grow our community by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or rating us on Spotify.
You can also find our podcast on YouTube, so you can come and leave us a comment over there as well. If you want support growing your business and scaling your vision, visit us at silverbackventures.org or connect with us on LinkedIn.
Thanks again, and we'll see you on our next episode.